what's up everyone, it's Emily and welcome back to my channel. I thought we could all get comfy cozy because we're gonna be vlogging today, guys. We are vlogging it out. I don't know what that was. For this month's spooky vlog, I don't know if this technically counts as spooky, but I'm gonna be reading If We Were Villains, and it's gonna be a little bit special because I'm actually gonna be annotating this book as I read it. I've never annotated a book before, not like one of my personal books. Well, like a book that I read for pleasure. The closest thing I've done is I've put notes and like annotated in the books that I have read for school, but that's about as close as I have gotten. So this is scary for me because what if I mess it up? But I think I just need to like rip the band-aid off and just go for it and not care if it's messy or whatever, and just like, I need to not care about aesthetics or making it look nice or whatever. I just need to get over that and just do what I want to do. It's also storming outside today, so it is like the perfect weather to be reading this like dark academia book. If you don't know If We Were Villains, that's fine because I don't know anything about it either, except that there is Shakespeare involved in it, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to pick it up in the first place. Plus, I think there's a bisexual character in it. Like, we had talked about reading it for the Bible Club, but the Bible Club, it's been crazy. We haven't been able to like meet up, so it's been hard. I hope that we can do another meeting, but it's been rough and everyone's super busy, and you know, I live 9 hours ahead of Logan. So it's hard to find a time that works for all three of us. I know that there is murder, academia, Shakespeare, amongst other things involved in this, and those are all things that I'm interested in, so I will be reading this book and hopefully I finish it in a decent amount of time. Don't expect this to be professional in any way. Like I said, I'm not going for aesthetics here or anything like that, so I just have like these little post-it notes and some cheap highlighters that we got from the store, like literally as cheap as you can get. I will be using this pale yellow specifically because there's yellow gold on the cover, so we're gonna go with yellow. Aesthetics who? And then like the yellow post-it notes. So I wanted like some cohesion to it, and then if I decide to use another color, maybe I'll use this like blue or this green. I'm not sure. I'm not really super into the neons for this book. I want pastels. So that's that. And then I have this little pen and it's red for blood because murder. And that makes sense to me. So that is what we're using for this book. And so what I think I'm gonna be doing is just highlighting phrases that I really like if I really like what the author is doing with a phrase, or underlining important things or interesting things, and then like writing little stuff in the margins. This one has like a very thin tip to it. I don't know if you can see it. And so like I'm hoping that I can write in the margins pretty easily, and then just like marking significant pages that I find interesting. If it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, it's because I don't know what I'm doing, and that is just the truth. I guess let's just get to it. Like I said, don't really know what's going on. I will come back to y'all when I've got an update. So we've already got the first problem coming up is this pen bleeds a lot. So I will not be using that at all. Luckily, I learned about it on like this first page here. I put a little heart next to the whatever it's called, the thing that the thing, who you do it for, who the book is, the dedication. I did it in the dedication, and I made this little heart here because I thought it was cute, and it bleeds through quite a bit. So I will not be using that pen. So goodbye pen. Shan't be doing that anymore. I will find something else. Probably a normal pen that maybe won't bleed through. Or I'll just highlight for now and go back and write stuff in at a different time. Okay, sorry. I'm on page 2. I think it's so funny because I don't know if you guys know theater people. A lot of them are really fucking pretentious. And like, I get that this is like setting the mood, right? This is the prologue. I'm still in the prologue. And first of all, like, one of the first things that's happening is that he's quoting Shakespeare in his mind, right? So he says, "But that I am forbid to tell the secrets of my prison house. I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul." Off the top of my head, I don't know what play that is. Oh, it's Hamlet. Okay, I thought it was gonna be Hamlet. So the first thing that this guy does is he's sitting cuffed to a table and he's quoting Hamlet, and the guard comes in and whatever, and he says, "So why are you here?" I ask. "Some fortnightly reason." And then the guy is like, "Why would you say fucking fortnight? Because who says that?" Theater people do, obviously. And he says, "You can take the boy out of the theater," or something like that. And then as he's continuing on, he continues to quote Shakespeare, like, in his actual speech, not just in his head. And I'm just like, that is the most fucking pretentious theater boy Shakespeare actor shit I've ever read in my life, and it is hilarious. I'm sorry. I know this is dark academia and it's supposed to be really serious and it's supposed to be like whatever, but like that is so funny to me. And I don't know if you're reading this as someone who's like an English major who just really loves Shakespeare, maybe you're getting, or someone who doesn't even like know Shakespeare that well, like, and you're just reading it because you love dark academia, like maybe you see it completely differently, but this is so funny to me. I'm sorry. Okay, hi. So I'm about 50 pages in, and I have to say, I know I was laughing about it in the beginning for its pretentiousness, but I'm actually really, really enjoying it so far. It reminds me a lot of my time in school studying theater. We did a Shakespeare show every year, or a similar, not always Shakespeare, but a lot of the times it was Shakespeare, and we studied a lot of Shakespeare in class. So it's really interesting to hear them speak about it, and I really love the conversations that we're having about the characters and everything, and how the people in his friend group are relating to the archetypes of the Shakespearean characters in his plays. So what I've been doing is I've been highlighting in yellow all of the Shakespeare quotes, and then in blue with this one I'm like highlighting quotes that are not Shakespeare. Then I'm gonna go back, and because some of them I recognize, but a lot of them I do not, and I'm gonna go back and like write which play, act, and scene it all takes place in some other time, probably not at this moment because I don't have a pencil or a pen that I can write with right now. It's so funny because it's like the archetype of theater professors, there's like 2 different kinds, and there's like the kooky crazy one that makes you do the crazy yoga positions and makes you like really feel yourself in your body, and then there's the very philosophical ones that teach you the logical reasoning work of the theater. And those 2 professors are in this book, obviously, and they remind me so much of my professors in college. It's absolutely crazy. Honestly, it feels like I'm back in college, and which is funny because this takes place in Illinois, and I went to college in Illinois too, so like it's all just coming together. And we did Julius Caesar my senior year of college, which is what they're doing in this, which everything in this is just, it's too many things lining up. I was not in Julius Caesar, but I did get a callback for it, so it's pretty cool, I guess. Actually really, really enjoying it so far. I think the one thing that like takes me out of it is like how much these people are quoting him. Like, they are quoting Shakespeare multiple times in the same conversation, and it's not just like one line of like "all's well that ends well." That's a Shakespeare quote. They're not just like saying shit like that. They're like spouting out King Henry IV, whatever, lines, like multiple of them. So, which is interesting, but it's very beautiful and it's very well done, and it definitely adds to the overall vibe of the institution that they're in. And Shakespeare is what they are studying specifically. They're studying theater, but specifically Shakespearean theater. So I guess it makes sense that you would maybe have more memorized, but I just think it's funny how often they're talking about it to each other, but that is also definitely a theater kid thing to do. One other thing I really like about it is the way that the book is set up. I think there are 5 acts, which would make sense because that's how many acts are in a Shakespeare play. 5 acts and then scenes within those acts. And so instead of chapters, we have scenes. I really like the breakdown of it, and I like that when they have multiple people speaking very quickly, they write it as if you would in a script versus the way you would in a novel with like Ren said or James said. It just says James, blah, 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 blah. Ren, blah, 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 blah. Meredith, blah, 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 which I really like because that's how my brain wants to read it anyway. And I think it's a really, really great way to include the idea of scripting because of Shakespeare being a play. And so having it reference that, but then also it's just a way, because you have so many characters. We have 7 main characters that we're kind of following. And it's a great way to just quickly get through their dialogue and know who's speaking and saying what without too much extra fluff going around it. So I thought that was really cool, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm gonna keep reading, and I will come back to you later. Okay, the most unrealistic thing so far about this book that I will say is that these kids are quoting Shakespeare like 24/7, and they're worried about being off book on time. Do you guys not have every play memorized? Because the way that y'all are just spouting shit off is making me think you do. Like, there's only so many Shakespeare plays. He's not coming out with new material. And they're just spouting this shit off, like stuff that like are from the plays that I do not even care to read, but just like, they're just like, and they're like, sorry guys, gotta be off book next week. It's like, okay. I mean, I'm kidding, like kind of, but also not really. Also, I am definitely glad I chose this for Halloween because it is Halloweeny. They are gonna be doing the Scottish play for Halloween in the book, and which is perfect. It's perfect. And so I'm really glad I chose this book to read in October because this is just, it's all coming together. I'm really, really liking it so far. This is quite interesting. Hey y'all, okay, so I'm back. I am about halfway through. It's really good. I have to say, I don't know what I was expecting going into this. I think I've been saying that, but I was expecting it to be dark and Shakespeare-y, but I don't think I realized just how Shakespeare-y it is. And I think this is probably one of, I mean, I've read dark academia before, but this is probably like the darkest of academia that I've ever read. And I think that has to do with the ages of everyone in this book because it's college students, and I feel like I read a lot of YA, so that usually tends to focus more on teens, but these people are in their 20s. I'm really, really liking it, and I think people have said The Secret History is a lot like this. I might have to check that one out. I'm being kind of inspired to take that one out, but I hear it's very, very similar. So we've just had our first true character death, and I'm gonna say I'm not super surprised at who died. And I will say it was a bit harsher of a death than I was expecting. I thought it was gonna be more similar to what happens in Caesar. And this is different, which actually is probably better, but that is where I'm at right now. I'm on Act 3, I think, Scene 2, which makes sense because in like the 3rd act, there's normally a death, and that's when shit really, really, really starts to go down. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep going, and I will come back to you with an update when I've got one. Okay, so I just finished Act 3, so I'm at Act 4 now, and things are getting interesting. I have theories about who killed the first person that's dead, and I have a feeling someone else is gonna die by the end of this. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not for sure. You went from them doing Julius Caesar to, for Halloween, they did the Scottish play Macbeth, and then now for December, their school hosts a masquerade and they perform Romeo and Juliet, which is absolutely incredible. What I would give to be at this performance. Wow. Because everyone is there for this masquerade, so everyone's wearing masks and formal gowns and everything, and then in it all, they're performing Romeo and Juliet, which is so cool. That's one of the things I love about Shakespeare. You can place it anywhere because it's public domain, so you can do literally whatever you want to it. You can change the script, you can cut stuff, you can put it on Mars, and they toy with that a lot in the book as well with like fun different things that they do. So they did Julius Caesar, but they did it as if it was a political campaign, which I thought was really interesting, and it's still getting very exciting. We are getting some jealousy in here, so I do think something is going to happen soon with this. And I mean, I'm getting through it. It's happening, and I love the way that the author uses the excerpts from the plays and how they're using it to parallel what's happening in these people's lives and then also in the play, and how the characters don't necessarily realize it until it's too late. And I thought that was brilliant. And I mean, I love Shakespeare, and so I think it's really cool to have enough knowledge to see what the author is doing. And so I definitely think if you are not familiar with Shakespeare, I think you could still get everything out of the book in terms of plot and the essence of everything that's happening in the story and like the dark grimness of it all. But I do think that if you're missing that foundation of the way that Shakespeare works and the way that the lines work and the double meanings of everything, I do think that you'll be missing some of the real meat underneath everything, if that makes sense. Luckily, all of the plays that they are talking about are his most famous ones, and you could very easily Google that or look it up and learn everything that you'd need to know to kind of understand. I do think it's really cool as someone who loves theater, studies theater, and is an actor and loves Shakespeare. I do think it's really cool to have that knowledge and to read a book with that knowledge, which is just super fun. I think there's a lot there, but I definitely do understand that that is kind of a niche and not everyone is gonna have that knowledge or the want to have that knowledge. So yeah, I definitely am gonna keep going. I don't know how much I can read right now today because I have some other stuff I've gotta do, but I definitely think I'll finish this in the next couple of days, and I'm very excited to see how this ends up. It's very thrilling, but it's a slow burn at the same time because I feel like we're not slogging through the mud. I'm not bored, but it's definitely, there's just something bubbling underneath, and we haven't hit the point yet where I understand where this is going to come to a head, because it plays with the fact of the future and the past. So we know kind of how this ends up. We know what happens to Oliver because he has been in jail for 10 years. So we know that he gets convicted of something, of a crime. And what we can imagine is a murder, but he's saying that he didn't do it, but he went to jail for it anyway. I don't know. And then he's kind of revealing to us very slowly how this all came to be. And yeah, I'm very, very fascinated with it. And I think the author is doing a really great job with this slow burn, but also keeping the thrill of the theater and the performances and the Shakespeare and the drama of it all. It's very much elevated in terms of theatrics. And I think that you kind of have to suspend your disbelief in that sense. Like if you go into this thinking like it's going to be like a murder mystery off the mystery genre shelf or whatever, I don't think that you're going to get what you want from it, because it's a mystery, but there's a lot more happening and it's not realism in that sense, if that makes sense. So very, very cool. And I cannot wait to finish this. I'm so excited. Hey y'all, so I'm heading into the final act of If We Were Villains, and I have to say I'm still really enjoying it, but I have to say that I kind of think I know what's going on, and while that is kind of satisfying as the reader, I do feel like it has made the climax not seem super exciting. Oh, Suki is here. Say hi. The suspense just really isn't there right now because we know how things end up, and how we get there is good, but it's not really exciting right now because I think I have it all figured out. But maybe it will surprise me. I'm not sure. I will have to finish it and let you know. Okay, I know I just did a video update, but oh my god, it happened. I finally read the cringiest line in literature, finally. I even marked it down so that I could find it. I exhale the breath I didn't know I was holding. I don't think I've ever consciously read that line in a book since it became a meme, and I cannot believe it's in this book. I honestly like read that line and I just looked up like I was in an episode of The Office. So good. Okay, a little bit cringe, but that's fine. All right, so I have finished the book and I haven't been able to go back and write in the Shakespeare segments yet, but I am planning on doing that at some point. But I have my pages marked of like pages of sections that I really wanted to be able to go back to pretty easily. I have lots of points highlighted. I have all of the Shakespeare quotes highlighted. And yeah, so I'm just gonna give you some final thoughts on this book. I'll keep it spoiler free. So I will say I did pretty much guess the ending. So if you're looking for a book where the ending isn't super easy to guess, I don't know. But if you're in this book for like a good story with the right kind of academia vibes, this is definitely a good contender, I would say. I will say I really liked the setting of it. I liked the overall mood that this book carried. I thought that it had this heaviness around it. And I know that that's something that dark academia just sort of has. It's just part of the aesthetic of it, I suppose. I really liked the way the author was able to portray like the grotesqueness of everything. And I really thought the prose was really beautiful and the author really did a great job bringing us into this world. And, you know, even though they were quoting Shakespeare like every other line, it was kind of funny sometimes, but I saw what the author was doing and I did really appreciate it. I will say, if you are not someone who loves theater, Shakespeare, or anything like that, I don't know if this is going to be the right dark academia book for you, only because it revolves around it so heavily. I do think that the enjoyment could still be there because it is a lot of his bigger plays that they're talking about, but I don't know, I just feel like I have to make that warning because I don't want to recommend this to someone and then have them be like, I didn't understand it, or I didn't really care or get it, and that is completely valid. I thought Oliver was a really interesting main character. He kind of almost seems to be like a Nick Carraway kind of person from The Great Gatsby, where he's the protagonist and he does go through a change. However, he seems to be much more of an outsider and is just kind of responding to the people around him versus being someone with a lot of motivation himself, which I like main characters like that. They're very introspective and they're very much just like kind of like what's going on all the time. And I don't know, I think it's interesting. I thought he was an interesting character. I liked him a lot. He was pretty likable, I would say. Most of the characters overall were pretty likable. We get a little bit of people questioning their sexuality. We have some good LGBT representation. I thought it was really good. I ended up giving it 5 stars, and I think that was just because I couldn't stop thinking about it when I wasn't reading it. It's one of those books where I wanted to be reading it when I wasn't. I ended up getting through it fairly quickly. And I think that was just because I was really into the story when I was reading it and it had an emotional effect on me. And that is pretty much how I score my books. I really enjoyed it. I think there's a lot to uncover in this book that you could probably find on your second or third read, or like you'd have to take the time and look at the Shakespeare play that the author is mentioning and referencing. I think there's a lot that you could find within this that on my first read through, I know I probably didn't catch. Oh yeah, that has been my If We Were Villains vlog. I hope that it was all right for you. It's my first time annotating a book ever. Overall, I really enjoyed annotating the book. I thought it made me analyze the text a bit more and realize like quotes and words and phrases that I really liked that the author was using. I will definitely annotate again, but I do think it needs to be a specific kind of book. I don't know if I could do that with just any book off the shelf, or that I would want to. Overall, a great book. I'm really glad I read it for October and Halloween, and I hope that someone else picks up this book and you can tell me how you feel about it. I'd love to hear about your thoughts on this book if you've already read it. That is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more writing and bookish related content. I hope you have a very happy Halloween. Thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.